everyone. Welcome back to Market Like a Mother. And we have a really good topic today. I'm very excited about this one. A lot of things that we talk about on this podcast are about, the behind the scenes of building a business and being a founder. And from the outside, entrepreneurship definitely could look exciting and glamorous, but anyone who has actually built something knows that there are these moments that are going to test you in ways that you never expected and might not have even been prepared for. So today's episode is about those moments, and we're going to get a little vulnerable, so buckle up. I'm going to be stepping into more of an interviewer role this time, again talking with Karen about 3 different times during her entrepreneur journey where she genuinely considered walking away from the business altogether. Karen is our CEO and founder of Radiant Marketing, as you guys know, and like many founders, her path has not been a straight line. I know we've dived into this in other episodes too. There's definitely moments of major pressure, uncertainty, and decisions that could have changed everything. So let's dive into those moments today. Karen, big topic today. How are we feeling?
Weirdly, a little nervous.
Fair enough, fair enough.
No, but nobody likes to share their biggest mistakes or broadcast them, I should say, across the internet. But here we are.
No, I commend you. I applaud you for this. And I think that, hopefully people could take some lessons away from this. I think it's a good thing. We're going to be talking about your 3 moments today when you considered walking away. And the biggest one was when you decided to dissolve your first agency. Could you kind of take us through that and, what was going on at the time and what you were experiencing?
Oh my gosh. That was such a big, scary, hard moment. I had started my first agency at a very young age with a business partner and a friend at that time. And I feel like we went into it a little unprepared for what it would really take and what it meant, and our own expectations of the business, ourselves, each other. So while we felt like we probably had some really clear conversations or understandings of all of those things, I think over time it became abundantly clear that there was definitely some misalignment. And I think just very different goals and desires for our future. We were at very different stages of our lives, and I was, kind of just launching my career and really getting started and wanting to grow something big, have a really big impact. I was ready to really put in the work and the time. I didn't have kids at that time. So I think, really my whole world was what we were creating with our agency. And, she was just in a very different season in her life, and her career was more mature. She had, built a lot already to date. And so I think that was a big reason that it eventually came to a point where we were like, this is not working for both of us. Like there's obviously some great pieces to it. We had some really good success. We opened our doors with our first clients like almost right away. We created some really incredible services. We made some big, impact with the clients that we had. But I think we both realized that we were on a bad track and things were not improving. And it got to a point where I think we both recognized that there was a need for us to make some big changes. And so at that point in time, we decided to dissolve the company, kind of part ways, each going in a fairly different direction with our own individual next steps, which I think also highlighted the importance of us parting ways and starting over, because it gave us each a chance to really dive into what we really wanted to be doing, which honestly, that whole transition and leading up to that moment was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And being a partnership, it was similar to going through a divorce. We were dividing assets, understanding how we were going to divvy up clients, how we were going to, send communication out to everybody. And it was very stressful. It was really sad. And it definitely felt like one of those moments where I was like, man, did I make a huge mistake in leaving my full-time job, in starting this business and going in this new direction. But then also am I making a huge mistake in dissolving this company? Is this what we're supposed? So just so many questions running through your head, and really you start to just lose confidence in yourself when you have to make such a big, hard decision. But as most situations prove to be, it was such an incredible learning lesson and pivot for me that opened new opportunities that I had no idea existed, and things just got exponentially better from there.
See, we love that. The light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I want to dive into more of, you're in this moment now where your agency's been dissolved. And obviously, like you said, what came after was something really positive. But I want to go back in those moments. How were you feeling when you were deciding, am I going to start over on my own? Am I going to walk away? Kind of like, what was it like being in that moment? And was there, any strategies or, coping mechanisms that you had to kind of get yourself to restart and to start again?
Yeah. So my coping mechanism was poor Travis having to listen to everything that I
Shout out.
yeah. um I think in a way it was like a really nice opportunity to reset and kind of like
Yeah.
start fresh with a lot of things. So there was definitely things that, in that previous agency in the current state, I was like, I don't like this. And now I had a chance to like reset that. So, like for example, we had great clients with my previous agency, a lot of really
Mm-hmm.
good people that we got to work with. But one of the things that I recognized is I wanted to work with businesses that had higher opportunities for growth and bigger, kind of more
Yeah.
ambitious goals. And some of that shift meant like moving into working with clients that were like digital services, were e-commerce companies that had more opportunity for us to come in and like really scale and grow their business. And like at a faster rate. And so that was like a shift that I made when I was restarting my my current agency, Radiant. And then just had a chance to kind of like restructure the team and reset. We talked, in previous episodes about how to hire. I think we made some hiring mistakes early on in my previous agency. And so I got like a little bit of a reset there. I was
Mm-hmm.
fortunate enough to bring a couple of team members with me into Radiant. And so that was fantastic. And I was so, happy that they chose, through that chaos to like continue, which I think was a testament to what I did want to build with Radiant. Um, and I think there's definitely some like the administrative burden that like already only what was it like 4.5 years into that other agency that like I was kind of feeling all the muck of the ancillary extra stuff. Like not gonna lie, creating a new email address and starting over with like a little bit of a clean inbox was fantastic.
So yeah, let that serve as also like a bonus for anyone out there who's had to start over. Like fresh email is a perk.
Yeah, not quite as much spam when it's a brand new email.
Yes. We love that. Well, and thank you for sharing that too. I know it's probably not always fun to have to revisit, those uncomfortable moments, but I think there's a lot of like growth and lessons that people could learn from your journey there. I want to get into your second mistake. I hate saying it that like bluntly to mistake, but we could call them learning experiences. We'll call them your
Same,
second
yeah,
learning
one and the
experience.
same. If you're not making mistakes, what are you learning, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay, yes, we like that. So you're a mother of two, which is amazing. But of course, becoming a mom was tough as it is for all moms. But you also had something going on with your business at the time when you had your first son. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh man. So this was one that took me some time to shift perspective and reframe, like we've talked
Yeah,
about in the past too, is like your mindset around things really gets to helps you determine how you live your life, like how you see the
yeah,
world, all the things. So when I, leading up to my maternity leave and becoming a mom for the first time, I had a small team. I was like kind of prepped and ready. They were all, knew the timeline. And, I feel like I had done everything I could to make sure that they were set up to allow me some time away because
yeah,
like we talked about in previous episode, becoming a mom is like literally like something you cannot prepare yourself for. It is a complete and total transformation in every way. And so I wanted to be able to step away at least for a little bit to transition into that new me.
yes,
Unfortunately,
as you should.
unfortunately, I think that I at that time too had, employed some very young individuals, like new to the workforce, new to agency
Hmm.
life. And I think that my expectations were just a little bit too high. And while I felt like I was keeping very open lines of communication, I do think that there was some breakdown there that prevented a key team member from coming to me with how they were really feeling about how things were going. And so only about a week and a half into my maternity leave, my main employee that had kind of taken over what I was doing put in his notice. And it was devastating.
Yeah. I can't even imagine, like, truly.
It was really hard. I felt I felt a lot of feelings. Let's just say that. Um,
Yeah.
luckily, I still had a handful of other individuals on my team. I had a really good outside of work support system. Both of my sisters had come into town and were staying with me. Obviously, Travis was super supportive. And so, as challenging as it was, like, I together with my support system was able to like move really quickly to kind of rework things, inform clients of what was going on, and like get some changes in place, and actually hire someone within a week that did a fantastic job while I was out, and like immediately kind of filled the gap that I needed to have filled. But I mean, it definitely altered my experience of in becoming a mom. There was a lot more stress
Yeah.
than I would have ever wished on anyone. Especially, we just did our whole episode on entrepreneurship and motherhood, and that I think that experience really shaped me. It took a lot to move through, the negativity that I experienced in that, but I have come to a place where I like recognize too, like we said, like while that wasn't there were like pieces of that were within my control that like I would consider, mistakes that I certainly learned from. I also think it's important to understand like we can't control the uncontrollables, and so like we can plan as much as possible for worst case scenarios and hope for the best, but like those worst case scenarios may still happen whether we do everything right or not.
Oh, that might hurts my heart that you had to go through that. I mean, I can't even imagine how stressful that was. And I mean, obviously, when you're going through this huge life transition, do you think that there's like a key takeaway you kind of took from this lesson in terms of like your leadership style now and team dynamics?
Ooh, leadership style and team dynamics. I'll answer that in a second. But I mean, the first key takeaway and lesson learned to me for me was honestly just like immense gratitude, focusing on
Yeah.
like all of the things I had to be grateful. Oh, sorry, I feel kind of emotional.
No,
um,
oh my gosh, yeah.
like my sisters, my husband, the rest of my team that really stepped up for
Yeah.
me. Like if I hadn't had them, that I don't know that I would have continued with Radiant. And since then, like just
Yeah.
so many wonderful things have happened with Radiant that we would have missed out on if I hadn't
Yeah.
had that support system. So again, like even in like, huge challenges and tribulations, focusing on the things you have to be grateful for can really help get you through those moments. As a leader, one of the things that it really brought to light for me is I felt like I was really open and really encouraging my team, inviting them to have conversations with me about
Yeah.
things that they were struggling with, or how they felt about the workload and various things like that. And I think that experience made me realize that even though I felt that way, there was still a barrier there, and it could be that my team didn't want to disappoint me, so they were afraid to bring things to me. But there's some things we've put in place since then that I think have really helped that, and involving other team members. But like right now with Radiant, we have what we call our workload wellness calls that Natalie runs
Mhm.
for us. And that's an opportunity for our team to like work with Natalie to evaluate their capacity, see what they have on their lists, adjust things as needed. And then Natalie and I will work sometimes behind the scenes to make sure that I'm making any other appropriate adjustments to help accommodate that, make sure we're not experiencing burnout. And I still, have my monthly one-on-ones. That was something I think I implemented after that incident, that so that I had regular touch points with everyone on my team to give them space to bring those types of, so not just being me saying like, hey, you can talk to me anytime. Hey, you can tell me if you're struggling with
Yeah.
things. But it's like, hey, we're having like structured one-on-one calls now every month where you can come prepared with very specific asks of me or questions and those types of things. So
And I will say, as an employee of Radiant, I like those because I think it could sometimes be intimidating too as an employee, like you said. So I think it's almost nice that these times are built in. So definitely love that. I'd love to go to the third moment now, the third learning experience, if you will, that involved losing a major client and having to operate very close to the edge financially. Can you talk about what
mhm.
that period was like for you as a founder?
Yeah. So one of the things that like agency consultants always recommend, and I think this probably applies across many different industries and business types, is you don't want too much of your business coming from one place. Like you do want to kind of
Yeah.
diversify. So with an agency, you don't want more than 20% of your revenue coming from one particular client. And so while I hadn't necessarily exceeded that limit, I was very close to it. And so when this client came to us with the proposed kind of shift. So we actually still work with this client, but they had been using us and our services for a whole bunch of things that they were actually bringing in house as they acquired another company and an entire marketing team. And so it wasn't necessarily something that we had done wrong or there was any mistakes on our end. It was just they had all these additional resources available to them now, and they no longer needed an outsourced agency. Um,
Great.
and so it was definitely challenging, and there was a
Yeah.
lot of times that I feel like I could have focused on the negative. But
Yeah.
honestly, there were some things in that client relationship, even as it was previously, that I think I was able to recognize in that moment as an opportunity to free us up for things that maybe felt more aligned. And so with that client reducing their time with us, there was obviously a significant reduction in revenue, but there was also now all of this available capacity for us to explore and take on new clients that would not have been available if we kept working with that client the same way. And very shortly after that, and I think again, this is when you're focused on the right things, those things grow. And we were focused on like,
Yeah.
okay, we have the space, we have the capacity to take on a really super aligned, cool client that we want to be working with in every way. And like sooner rather than later, like we had this fantastic lead that resulted in a signed client within oh, I can't remember exactly, but I want to say it was like within 4 weeks of this client
Oh,
giving us
wow.
that notice and shifting their retainer. So it was like things moved fast. And so I had
Yeah.
just a short period of time there where I was like, oh my gosh, this is so scary. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I have payroll to meet. I have, expenses, recurring expenses. Like I don't want to have to make huge changes, but I was kind of prepping myself to and evaluating some of the things like, hey, where can I cut back? What do I need to adjust? So again,
Yeah.
worst case scenario planning, hoping for the best, focusing on like the good and the opportunity. And I think in the end, it has definitely worked out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that was such a stressful period too. I mean, anytime when it's like a financial aspect involved in the business too, I feel like the pressure is just on there. You talked about your support system kind of being a theme throughout some of these too, but during all these moments that you've had, so the three that we talked about, what kept you going and moving? Like if someone's listening to this right now and they're in a position where they're down, maybe they're having to restart something, they're in a lull as a founder, kind of what helped you persevere through these? Because it could sometimes be hard to find the motivation to keep going.
Absolutely. And like some days it's definitely harder than others. I think recognizing,
Yeah.
staying focused on your why, that's huge, right? Why are you
Yeah.
doing this? Like you have a reason. And if you don't have a reason, then maybe it is time to like let it go temporarily. You're in a different season of your life. Like it's not,
Yeah.
the answer isn't always to like push through and continue on. Like definitely like listen to yourself and reflect and understand like, is my why still bigger than the challenges I'm facing right now? And if it is,
Yeah.
then I think it's important to know that like almost always like it's like cyclical, like an up and down, like there's ebbs and flows all the time. So you might be experiencing a low right now, but who knows if that's going to be there tomorrow? Like what opportunity might come through in just a matter of moments, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important too, where it's like it's not always going to be like this. Like this is, you know, you're working through these things. This is challenges you're experiencing right now. But I also think, and like literally was just texting a fellow entrepreneur friend yesterday, I think having a support system of other entrepreneurs is really helpful because you just feel a lot less alone. Like almost everything you're experiencing, if you have like a network of, you know, of colleagues that are also entrepreneurs, you have an opportunity to like share those things with them, hear back from them that they've experienced it too. And just knowing that, I feel like can help get you through, you know, the thickest, hardest part of it. Cause I think too, we look at these mistakes or these challenges as things that like are wrong with us or a reason for us to not continue when really it's like it is just the way of the world. Sometimes there's things that are outside of our control, and knowing that people you admire or aspire to be or you know, work closely with have experienced similar things is can be reassuring. Misery loves company. No.
Yes. Yes. Everyone makes mistakes. I think too, this is a good lesson today too, because I think everyone makes mistakes as a founder. I mean, everyone makes mistakes in general too, but if, you know, as a founder, it's an inevitable part of that journey too. So I think it's so nice to hear from someone who's come out the other side in a sense, you know, to be able to reflect and, you know, show that like it might feel like your world is ending sometimes in these moments, but, you know, things carry on and there's always ways that you could persevere and, you know, sometimes things end up better than they expected. So I feel like that's a good kind of mindset shift that we've learned today too from a lot of your stories.
I love that, Lauren. And I think that like everything you just said is so true. We can get so bogged down and stuck in
Yeah.
like narrow visioned like when we're experiencing these things that like stepping back and looking at things that from a bigger perspective can be so enlightening and helpful. And I think we might have talked about this before, but like even like literally in like the midst of a very challenging moment, just stepping outside and like feeling the sun on your face and the grass on your feet can help like reset your perspective and like give you hope.
Yes, I know people have that phrase on the internet now, touch grass, but I really do believe that because sometimes like I do need to go outside and like touch the grass and like reflect on what's really important.
For sure.
And things
I was just reading something that was like, if you're having a hard time, go outside and stare at a tree. I haven't done this one yet, but I need to try
yes.
it because like that thing is alive. It is incredible. It's been here for longer
Yes.
than you in a lot of cases.
I so agree with that, and I feel like there's times when I'm so frazzled that like that's probably good for me to go outside and stare at a tree. So
Sure.
that's everyone's assignment today. Listening, go
There you go.
outside, touch the grass, stare at a tree, and go make some mistakes because you could learn from them. Takeaway for today. And before you guys go, make sure you check out our website to learn more about Radiant and how we help brands grow with intention. You can follow us on social. We are on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you loved today's episode, you can stream it both on Apple or Spotify. And we always have our video versions up on YouTube as well. Thank you for hanging out with us today. And until next time, stay
Stay
radiant.
radiant.